Called Cockles and Mussels. Oh yeah, many of you know it. Okay, you've been in the pubs in Ireland, have you? And by the way, I've been waiting to say this, top of the morning to you. So your part is the chorus that says, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Now, this is not part of the service, okay? This is our prelude, so I won't get in trouble, okay? Okay. Here we go. In Dublin's fair city, where girls are so pretty, I first set my eyes on sweet Molly Malone as she wheeled her wheelbarrow through streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, your turn. Alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. She was a fishmonger, but sure was no wonder, for so were her father and mother before. They wheeled their wheelbarrows through streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. She died of a fever, and no one could save her, and that was the end of sweet Molly Malone. Her ghost wheels her barrow through streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Yes, good job. We're just getting you warmed up, okay? Well, welcome everyone to Center for Spiritual Living and Unity of Medford. We are going to do some drumming this morning. We're just so fortunate that we have the drummers here. That was not planned by me, but I had someone planned, but they didn't make it. So anyway, so the Spirit moves, and we get to benefit from that. So we are going to have the words up here for this first opening song. It's called Center of Creation, which you all are. So follow along with the words. I'm Lauren, and this is Alexa. We're happy to lead the music for you this morning. Okay, I am a center of creation. I am a center of creation. I am a seed planted in stillness. I am a center of creation, fertile ground for the highest thoughts of God. I am a center of creation. I am a tree rooted in fullness. I am a center of creation, fertile ground for the highest thoughts of God. I am a center of creation. I am complete, living in wholeness. I am a center of creation, fertile ground for the highest thoughts of God. Let's do that one again. I am a center of creation. I am complete, living in of creation, fertile ground for the highest thoughts of God. Fertile ground. Fertile ground for the highest thoughts of God. Fertile ground for the highest thoughts of God. Yes. All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Lauren and Alexa. So good morning, everybody, and happy St. Patrick's Day. Who's Irish? Who's Irish? Oh, yeah, all of you. I know, I understand. Today's the day you can be. So I'm Reverend Stephanie, and I'm happy to greet you here this morning. I'm speaking today in place of our beloved Reverend Kimberly, who is now in Bali. She's enjoying some well-deserved downtime with her CSL colleagues. And if you want to follow her journey, she's been posting some really exquisite pictures on Facebook. So I recommend that you go there and take a look at where she is. She's in paradise. So we are an exclusive, spiritually progressive faith community. And we welcome each of you, no matter where you are on your particular faith journey, your personal spiritual journey. If you're here for the first time today, would you mind just putting up your hand and letting us give you a special welcome? Oh, great. Welcome. Thank you. Do you mind keeping your hand up? And we have ambassadors here who will give you a visitor packet. Thank you. And our musicians this morning, as you've already heard, are the wonderful Lauren James and Alexa Ehrlich. Woohoo! Fantastic.
Thank you.
So glad you're here today. Thank you. Reverend Kim Bibo did our meditation this morning. Thank you, Kim. And she'll be praying for everyone here during the service. Our practitioner today is Wendy Wellborn, and she'll be doing our invocation and our reading. So before we go any further, can I please remind you to turn off your cell phones? Thank you very much. Or just put them on airplane mode. And let's take a collective deep breath together and allow our song to take us deeper. We're preparing now for our invocation. And I'd like to ask that you hold your applause until later, because from the music we'll go directly into prayer. Thank you very much.
You can sing along with us on this one with the words up on the screen. This is a Native American Indian chant.
It is holy, holy is this ground. Forest, mountain, river, listen to the sound. Great Spirit circles all around me. Where I pray is holy, holy is this ground. Forest, mountain, river, listen to the sound. Great Spirit circles all around me. Where I sing is holy, holy is this ground. Forest, mountain, river, listen to the sound. Great Spirit circles all around me. Where I dance is holy, holy is this ground. Forest, mountain, river, listen circles all around me. Where I dance is holy, holy is this ground. Forest, mountain, river, listen to the sound. Great Spirit circles all around me. Great Spirit circles all around me. Great Spirit circles all around me.
Let us take a deep breath into this holy, sacred space that is our human body, our human mind, this building, this community, our world. There is no place where God is not. Recognizing that God is everywhere present, we know we are infinitely blessed to be in unity with each other. That we, as a group, as a single unit, allow love to move forward into the world through us. We know we touch each person that we come in contact with. We know that one mind that is part of our mind, is the whole of our mind, we are part of it, works through us and for the betterment of all people. I bless this service, that the information that comes forward is divine information, and that it touches the hearts of all who hear it in whichever form, the people online, the people in person, and the people that we meet later in the day, in the week. I bless our team that has put this all together. I am so grateful for their activity and their divine calling in this world. I bless our teens and our youth, that they come to us with open hearts and are held in our deepest love, and that they know love like no other. And I bless each of us, that as we move through our day, we remember that we have each other. In the present moment, and then in spirit, we are infinitely connected. We are always, always together. And with this, I release this word in absolute gratitude for everything that has been said and that will be said in the future, knowing that it is the truth and it is sacred. And we affirm this together, saying, and so it is. Good morning. Good morning. That's just a little too close. My reading today is from the Prophet by Khalil Gibran. And the backstory of this, well, little too close. The backstory of this is that the prophet is actually leaving a community he's been living in for 12 years. And he's heartbroken and excited. And before he gets onto the boat, he tells the people, or he invites the people to ask him questions. And so each asks him a question of his heart. And this is the question from the teacher. Speak to us of teaching. And the prophet said, no man can reveal to you aught but that which already lies half asleep in the dawning of your knowledge. The teacher who walks in the shadow of the temple among his followers gives not of his wisdom, but rather of his faith and lovingness. If he is indeed wise, he does not bid you enter the house of his wisdom, but rather leads you to the threshold of your own mind. The astronomer may speak to you of his understanding of space, but he cannot give you his understanding. The musician may sing to you of the rhythm which is in all space, which is in all space, but he cannot give you the ear which arrests the rhythm, nor the voice that echoes it. And he who is versed in the science of numbers can tell of the regions of weight and measure, but he cannot conduct you there. For the vision of one man lends not its wings to another man. And even as each one of you stands alone in God's knowledge, so must each one of you be alone in his knowledge of God and his understanding of the earth, which to me means that you are not ever alone. And so it is.
Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Wanna change the world? There's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Wanna change the world? There's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly
Thank you so much for that. That was my special request, and they put it together in the last couple of days. Thank you, Lauren and Alexa. So I wasn't planning to talk about St. Patrick's Day, but my husband Jim sent me an email last night with some Irish jokes, and I can't resist. So. Actually, it's beer drinking jokes. So this is from a beer troubleshooting chart. So on the chart, we have the symptom or the problem, we have the cause, and we have the action or the solution to take, the solution that might resolve the problem. So the first symptom, if you're in a bar and your feet are cold and wet, the cause is that your glass is being held at the incorrect angle. So the solution is to rotate your glass so that the end points upwards towards the ceiling. So if you find that your feet are warm and wet, the cause is that you have improper bladder control. And the solution would be to stand next to the nearest dog and complain about house training. If you find that the beer is tasteless and the front of your shirt is wet, the problem is, the cause is that your mouth is not open, or the glass is being applied to the wrong part of your face. And the solution would be retire to the restroom and practice in the mirror. If you find that the floor is moving, the cause for that is that you are being carried out. So the solution would be to find out if you're being taken to another bar. If the taxi you're in suddenly takes on colorful aspects and textures, the cause for that is that your beer consumption has exceeded personal limitations. The solution, cover your mouth. If your singing sounds distorted, it means the beer is too weak. So have more beer until your voice improves. And lastly, if you find that you don't remember the words to the song, that means the beer is just right. And the action to take is play the air guitar. Okay, enough of that. It's a form of divine intelligence. Yes. So we're talking today about divine intelligence. Our monthly theme has been, that's how we've never done it, as opposed to something we often say, which is, that's how we've always done it. So the point of the talk today is to shift us out of old ways of thinking and old ways of doing things and open up to divine intelligence, which is infinitely creative. And also it's about trying to open up to divine intelligence rather than try to figure it out in your own way. So humanly, we've only got limited resources, but tapping into the divine, we have infinite resources. So we're going to stop trying to figure things out humanly from now on. We use our intellect to rationalize and to figure out problems. So if there's a body of water and a bridge needs to be built, it's fine to use our intellects to figure out how to build a bridge. But the intellect's limited, isn't it? You can't figure out how to be happy, or you can't figure out how to be successful or be fulfilled. So only certain things are good for the intellect. So first, let's look at what is divine intelligence. You have an inner Einstein. You have intelligence within you, and I'm not talking about intelligence that a theoretical physicist might use or a Nobel laureate. I'm talking about all of you, all of us, you and me. We have an inner genius, and this has nothing to do with your grades in school. Who got bad grades in school? Yeah, some of you here. Doesn't matter. You are a genius, and Einstein didn't pay attention in school either. He was busy wandering off in his imagination, figuring out the secrets of the universe. So I know that kids often who are not good in school, it's because they're bored, because their intelligence wants to go much further than the teacher can go. So we've got this intelligence that I'm talking about is the sea that we swim in. And did you ever hear the story about the two fish who heard about this most magical thing called water? I say it differently from you. This magical thing called water, and they swam all over the ocean looking for it. That's us. That's us. We're swimming in a sea of divine intelligence, and if we look for it outside ourselves, we'll never find it. We have to look within. So here are some definitions of intelligence. So 1, the ability to learn and understand. 2, the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. And 3, the ability to solve complex problems and make decisions which have benefits for the decision maker and other people as well. So that's one definition. But we also have other forms of intelligence. You know about EQ, emotional intelligence. So what's that? Emotional intelligence is about learning how to manage your feelings and learning how to manage the feelings of others, and to be highly self-aware, and to be able to be empathic and to resolve conflict with other people. We've also got artificial intelligence. How many of you use that? Artificial intelligence, yeah. I started using it a lot myself. It's wonderful to just type in a question and get an answer right away. It's the same as accessing the divine intelligence, except artificial intelligence is not as infinite as divine intelligence is. It's got its limitations, although it's developing and becoming faster and more creative. So artificial intelligence, it gathers information from the internet and coordinates it to answer questions. And it does some of the functions that human beings can do. So if I type into my chat GPT, write me a sermon on your inner Einstein, it'll give me, within about 10 seconds, it'll give me a sermon. So I tried that for this particular talk, and some of it was good, most of it wasn't, and it didn't feel like me, it felt like something from the internet, so I didn't use it. But it's just wonderful to be able to tap into the infinite knowledge that's available on the internet anyway. So divine intelligence includes all of this, and also creative intelligence. And I want to honor Alexa and Lauren here, because when I first spoke to Lauren about 2 months ago, I knew that I'd be speaking today, and I said, you know, it's St. Patrick's Day, and I'll probably say something about an Irish theme, and Lauren said, oh, great, I'll play some Celtic music. So we had it all planned. And then this week, I realized the Irish theme wasn't happening, and I wrote to Lauren, and I said, yeah, you know what, let's leave that. And she said, no, that's fine. We hadn't planned to do anything Celtic anyway. It wasn't coming through for us. So the divine intelligence was working without me even communicating. And I want to honor our sound and video crew at the back here. So these are beautiful examples of creative intelligence in service to the whole. Thank you very much, everyone who shows up week after week. Yeah. So the thing is, here I am telling you that you have access to infinite divine intelligence, but who really believes that in their soul? Put your hand up if you believe it. So for me, sometimes you can know it and understand it as a theoretical truth, but believing that it's really true about you, that's something different. So do you remember the Wizard of Oz and the Scarecrow, and he didn't believe that he had a brain? Lauren? I only had a brain, that's the last line, thank you, Lauren. So we all have brains, that's fine. But maybe the question is, if I only had divine intelligence, it's the same thing. The Scarecrow didn't believe he had a brain, but in the movie, what you see is that whenever a decision needs to be made, the Scarecrow is right there. Whenever someone needs to take the lead, the Scarecrow is right there. He's actually brilliant, he just doesn't know it. So we're the same. We're brilliant, and we might not know it fully. And when all the troop get to the Wizard of Oz, the wizard says to the Scarecrow, well, having a brain is no big deal. Everybody has a brain. But the thing is, how do you use it to think? That's the difference. And he gives the Scarecrow a diploma of thinkology. The Scarecrow gets this diploma, and as soon as he gets the diploma in his hands, you see him quoting Pythagoras' theorem. It's as if having that diploma is the confirmation he needed, that he does have a brain and he can think clearly. And that's when the shift took place. So I'm granting you a cyber diploma of divine intelligence today, here and now. Imagine you're receiving it in your hands, and from this point forth, you have access to your divine intelligence, and it's absolutely infinite. And again, thank you, Lauren, because I wrote her an email and I said, can you just tinkle out the Scarecrow song from The Wizard of Oz? And she didn't get the email. So I spoke to her this morning and I said, did you get the email, and do you mind just playing that? She said, oh, is it like this? And she started just instantly. I mean, Alexa and I were standing there in awe that she just pulled it from her vast reservoir of musical knowledge and wisdom. Thank you. Wonderful, wonderful. So the thing is, okay, so now you've got your diploma of divine intelligence. You know that it's within you. But then the next question is, well, Steph, how do I access that? It's fine to know that I have it within me, but how do I actually use it and have it make a difference in my life? So I'm going to give you 3 things to do that will help you and me open up to our divine intelligence. So Einstein's wisdom went far beyond his scientific discoveries, and he really understood the connectedness of all things and the harmony in the universe. And he even said, imagination is more important than knowledge. We're going to be talking about imagination as the first step. He said, imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress and giving birth to evolution. Isn't that beautiful? Giving birth to evolution. So every time we use our imagination, we're giving birth to a greater evolution of the spirit through and as us. Einstein also said, logic will get you from A to B, and imagination will take you everywhere. So it's unlimited. And I want to tell you the story of Nelson Mandela. He was, as many of you know, he was in prison for 27 years as a political prisoner during the time of apartheid in South Africa. And while he was in prison, he was treated really badly by the white Afrikaner guards and prison officers. And he had a vision, or in his imagination, he was imagining a South Africa that was free and democratic with equal rights for all beings. And he was very specific about the fact that in the new South Africa that he was very clear would be formed, that it would be a place for equality. So he was not interested in replacing a corrupt white system with a corrupt black system. That would have been a repetition of history, and it wouldn't have served the evolution of the country or the planet. So when he came to power, he became president in 1994, he went about instituting a democratic constitution. And then his cohort, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, has anyone heard him speak? He came to America often, yeah. Together with Mandela, they developed the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Now, how brilliant is that? The country had been through political upheaval and turmoil since 1948, when apartheid was written into the law. And then when apartheid was over, how were they going to heal? They couldn't just replace a white government with a black government. So these 2 brilliant men, geniuses of reconciliation, they developed the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and gave all the people who had been harmed by apartheid a chance to air their grievances and even find out where their loved ones had been buried or where their loved ones had been hidden away. And so this was a wonderful chance for everybody who was involved in the apartheid violence and insanity to heal. Some things could not be healed. Loved ones could not come back from the dead, but nevertheless, there was a chance to go to the grave and to pay the last respect. So there was a chance to have closure and completion. So, and a similar story of Viktor Frankl, who was in the concentration camp. Now, these 2 men were in dire circumstances that looked like the only way out would be death. But yet, they had the willingness to use their imagination and to live into that. So not just have like polite little daydreams, but to actually live into it and have it be the reality that they lived in. And so Viktor Frankl was in the concentration camp, and he noticed that the people who stayed the longest by the fire at night were the ones that died the soonest, because they were basically saying that they were going to stay by the fire the longest, but then the contrast of going into the bunk and getting cold at night was going to eventually kill them off. And he realized when he entered the concentration camp that the guards could take everything from him, but they couldn't take his capacity to choose what he thought about. He knew that he had control over the thoughts in his brain, in his mind. So those nights when everybody was sitting close to the fire, he would remove himself a little bit, and he would, while he was working in the labor camps, while he was alone at night, he would think about his wife. He would just remember her with such tenderness and look forward to the day of being reconnected with her. So his heart was opening, and he was filled with love, and he wasn't going to let the dire circumstances influence how he was going to be thinking about his life. Because a lot of the people there, of course, they were in the space where they didn't know if they were going to survive from one day to the next. So you and I are not in those dire circumstances. We are not in that place where death is a constant threat for us. So are we going to use our imagination? We have the power, we have so much already, we have material resources, we have what we need. And we can imagine a much different reality from the one we're having now, if the one we're having now is not something that's pleasing us or in any way healthy. So, and I know that you use your imagination all the time. For example, if you're at work and you're not feeling good at work, you can imagine yourself being at home. You can imagine yourself getting into your car. You and I, as spirits in human form, have the power to think independently of circumstances. And that's imagination. We have the power to think about something, to think about being in a place where we're not currently in. So we all have it, and we all do it all the time. And the trick is to do it consciously. So I'm going to imagine myself living the way I want to live, being with the people I want to be with, doing the work I want to do. We're going to imagine ourselves consciously in the space we want to live in. Okay, that's step number one, imagination. Now, step number two is curiosity. And Einstein was infinitely curious, and that's how he came up with all of these wonderful scientific ideas. So when I say curiosity, I'm talking about curiosity into the nature of my being or the nature of the universe. That was Einstein's curiosity. And when I'm talking about curiosity, I'm talking about wondering and asking questions. And the questions that we'd ask would not sound like, why am I so fat? Or what's wrong with me that I couldn't get that right? Or why did I do that stupid thing? Those are not the questions that I want you to be asking. The questions that we want to ask are things like, what beliefs might I have right now that could be producing these circumstances in my life? So instead of looking out and blaming the circumstances, I'm going to get curious about, what could I be believing? What could I be thinking about that could possibly be creating this thing that I'm not enjoying? Where could I best be of service? How can I best serve the world right now? There's always a way to be of service wherever you are. And in a situation where you're not sure which path to take, a good question to ask is, what's the adult, loving thing to do right now? What's the adult, loving thing to do right now? So that question will guide the next thing you say and the next thing you do. And the answers really come from all different parts of the universe in all different forms. And once you've asked the question, you might notice that you get a sign. So there's a woman who was having a difficult relationship problem. She didn't know how to resolve it. But she was asking the question, how do I resolve this? What must I do? And she ordered a Chinese meal. And at the end of the meal, she cracked open her fortune cookie. And the fortune cookie said, trust your instincts. You're being guided by divine intelligence. Yeah, the fortune cookies have spiritual wisdom. But you can see the spiritual wisdom everywhere. I'm just thinking of a story when I had finished my ministerial training in America, and I came back to Europe on my way back to South Africa. And I was visiting my friends in Holland, and I had lived in Amsterdam for about 3 years, and I had absolutely loved my life in Amsterdam. And I was thinking, God, do I really have to go back to South Africa and start a multiracial ministry? Can I not just move back to Amsterdam and have a fun life again with no responsibilities? And I was sitting at a tram stop waiting for a tram, and I turned around, and there was an ad in the tram for, I think it was an ad for giving up smoking. And the ad clearly said, "You cannot go back to the same old life." I got my answer. So we've talked about imagination, we've talked about being curious. And now the third thing is we need to get still. That's the way to access the inner intelligence. And we have many ways of getting still. We teach them in this spiritual community. We teach meditation, we teach prayer. All of that is about getting still and listening for inner answers. Another way to get still is to nap. Who enjoys a nice nap in the afternoon? Yeah, good. It's a very spiritual thing to do. Carry on. Yes. So no guilt, no shame about napping. So there were great leaders that believed in napping, and Einstein was one of them. He would always take a nap and come up with a solution after the nap. And one of the other great leaders was Churchill, Winston Churchill, who led the UK through World War II. And he would nap for at least an hour in the early afternoon, during the war. So the war was on, the war was raging, and he insisted on taking a nap after lunch. And he said, "Nature had not intended mankind to work from 8 in the morning until midnight without the refreshment of blessed oblivion, which, even if it only lasts 20 minutes, is sufficient to renew all the vital forces." So he could help the UK to win World War II just from taking some naps and getting some bright ideas about how to move forward with their strategies. Edgar Cayce also. Has anyone here heard of Edgar Cayce? Yeah, he was known as the sleeping prophet. And not that he would sleep, but he would go into a deep trance-like state, and in that state he'd be able to channel spiritual wisdom. And another method I want to talk about is visioning. How many of you have heard of visioning? Yeah, nearly everybody here, fantastic. I talked about it a little bit right before I started teaching the visioning course. So I taught the course here starting in January. Visioning is a phrase that was coined by Reverend Michael Beckwith, who was my spiritual teacher at Agape in Los Angeles. And he visioned with a small group of people for about a year before he actually opened the doors of Agape. So what is visioning? It's about asking Spirit for the divine idea of a community, of a project, of a relationship, of a business venture. It's about tuning in deeply to the wisdom of the Spirit that is within, and regularly tuning in with a group as well. So you can vision on your own, or you can vision with a group, which magnifies and accelerates the energy. So the questions that you could ask in visioning are fairly straightforward. They're fairly typical. What is God's vision for my life? Or what must I embrace in order to live in the vision? What must I release in order to live in the vision? What must I become, or who must I become in order to be a servant of the vision? Those are the questions in visioning. Very simple, very straightforward. And I wanted to share a couple of stories from the recent visioning class. Can you put your hand up if you're here and you were in the recent visioning class? Yeah, I've got Ellen and Sheila, Michelle, and Carol. Yeah, anyone else? Oh, and Greg there, of course, yeah. I asked permission to share these stories. So the one story that's really very cool is Sheila. Now, Sheila had a clear intention to get clarity on a new career path. She wasn't content with the job that she was doing. She wanted to branch out and do something new. And in the process of our 6 weeks together, it became really clear to her that she was going to be a Reiki practitioner. She'd done a lot of Reiki training, and she wanted to open an alternative health practice. So Sheila got going with her Reiki work, and she invited the fellow students to come and have a session, or not come, but actually have a session remotely. And she got the business structure sorted out. So within 6 weeks, the arc of 6 weeks, she had completely shifted in her professional direction. So well done, Sheila. really wonderful work. Yeah. And then we had Michelle. Michelle started the visioning class working on her physical vision. She shared that on the first night of class, that she was trying to improve her physical vision. And in the course of the class, she spoke to Laura and Greg. And Laura and Greg have a dog who has cataracts, and the dog's vision was very poor, and the dog couldn't really respond is it a he or a she, Greg? I don't know. A he, as he used to do, and he couldn't play and run around because he couldn't see where he was going. And Michelle shared some information with Laura and Greg about a remedy that could help to heal the dog's eyesight. And Greg and Laura found the remedy on the internet and applied it to the dog, and the dog could see. So I pointed out that we're in a course on visioning, but that also includes improving your physical vision. If that's the way that the healing is meant to happen, that can happen, and it can happen with your pets as well. It doesn't have to be just the people in the class. It can happen all around you. And we were also visioning for how do we, what's God's vision of CSL Rogue Valley? Like, how do we as a community expand? And Michelle got some very wonderful spiritual answers. And the one I remember is she said, we need chocolate. And we all knew she was being flippant, but, sweet stuff is good for a community. We all like to eat. Thank you, Michael, for the wonderful food you prepare for us every week. Community building is about eating, isn't it? It's lovely to be able to share food together. So it was a flippant remark, but Laura, at that moment, got up from her seat, and she went to the counter in Bosworth Hall here, where behind the easel pad, I had an easel pad there for writing my notes in class, and the easel pad was hiding a bowl of Hershey's chocolate kisses. And Laura and Greg had bought the Hershey's chocolate kisses to class the previous week because it was Valentine's Day. They had some left over, and they brought them back the following week. But nobody knew that except Laura, because the bowl was hiding behind the easel pad. So Laura got up, went and got the bowl of chocolates, brought it back to the table, and handed it to Michelle. Michelle had spoken her word for chocolate. The intelligence of the universe knew where it was and how to deliver it. And it did it instantly. And I want you to remember that story, because whenever you ask for something, it's already there. You just can't see it. It's hiding behind the easel pad in your consciousness. And if you ask for it, and what Michelle did, she was flippant. She asked for it, she let it go. She wasn't really expecting to manifest chocolate in front of her in the next 30 seconds. That's part of the asking as well. Your divine intelligence knows how to do this stuff, so you don't have to worry. You just ask for what you want, let it go, and let the divine intelligence fetch it from wherever it is and deliver it to you, right to your feet or right to your table. Okay. What else did I want to say about that? So we've talked about imagination, we've talked about asking questions and being curious, and we've talked about visioning. So now I want to share the last story about how the intelligence of the universe worked in my life to actually get me here to America. So many of you know that I met my husband Jim Hatton in the Great Pyramid of Cairo in June of 2019. So that was already a magnificent feat of divine intelligence to even bring us together. Jim was living here in Medford, and I was living in Johannesburg, South Africa, and I was a caregiver for my mother at the time. And I heard about this trip to Egypt with Reverend Michael Beckwith, and I just knew in my heart right away that I needed to go. I needed to be on that trip. And Jim had the exact same experience. He heard about it. He knew he needed to go on the trip. And I had been longing for my soulmate for the last, 40 plus years. And every New Year's Day, I'd set my goals. This year, I'm going to meet my soulmate. Anyone ever done that? Okay, no one's. It's embarrassing to admit. But of course, I never found him. And by the time I got to Egypt in 2019, I think I was 60 when I was on the trip, I had given up. Not in a, it's never going to happen. Not in a that kind of giving up way, but my life is so amazing I love my life. I love living in South Africa. I love speaking at the church that I founded. I love being able to take care of my mom and make amends for all of my teenage years up until age 44. And I love speaking, and I love coaching my clients internationally, online. I just loved my life. I love traveling to Europe because I used to work in Europe part-time and travel around Europe. It's just, oh, what a great life I have. I didn't need a soulmate. I was quite happy to be single for the rest of my life. I had completely let go of thinking, hoping, wishing that another person would make me whole or give me happiness that I didn't already have inside. So anyway, that was divine intelligence to bring Jim from Medford and Stephanie from Johannesburg and have us meet in the Great Pyramid. That was already pretty cool. And then we started chatting online when we got back from the trip, and within a month, Jim proposed to me. And then we met up in August in Medford. I came here in August of that year, 2019, and I came back again in January. And somewhere in between there, we decided we were going to get married in South Africa on the 25th of April of 2020. Well, you know what happened in 2020. We had COVID. So we decided to get married in South Africa because I had a big family there and a big spiritual community, and I wanted my mum to be at my wedding. So my mum and I were planning to get married in Johannesburg, April 25th, 2020. After that, my mum and I were going to travel to Medford, and I wanted my mum to see where I was going to be living eventually. But my mum was quite frail. Luckily, we got the visa. Everything was in place, and we were going to have 2 months or 3 months in Medford, and then I was going to travel back to South Africa with my mum and figure out how she might live without her caregiver. We didn't know where she could go or what she could do, and I didn't want to leave her on her own, and I knew she couldn't take care of herself anymore without some kind of help. And so the plan was, can you hear the human logistics, the human trying to figure it out, the human trying to plan it with the resources that I had available? I didn't have a strategy. I didn't know what to do, but the plan was, I'm going to stay with my mum until she's sorted out, and I'm not going to move to America and be with Jim. I'm not going to abandon her. So my mum really wanted me to be in America. She wanted me to be with Jim. She didn't want me to, she says, waste my life looking after her. I didn't see it as a waste, but she didn't want to hold me back. So I got back to South Africa in early February of 2020, after my last visit to Medford. And as I was leaving Medford, Jim and I said, well, we don't know if we want to wait till the middle of April to see each other again. That seems like too long. You know, when you're young and in love, it's too long. You can't bear a night apart. So I said to him, let's just trust the universe. Let's just trust. If there's a way that we're meant to be together somewhere in the world before we get married in South Africa, let's just trust and let's just see what happens. So I got back to South Africa, and my mum, I took my mum to her beauty therapist for her treatment, and the beauty therapist knew about an assisted living home where her mother was living, and it was a place where they had great food and great service and lots of caring nurses and staff. And while my mother was on the beauty therapist's table having her facial done, she decided that she would move there. So I picked her up, and she said, I've heard about this lovely place in the north of Johannesburg, and I want to go and see. I think it will be the solution. We went to see it. There were 2 apartments available. She put down a deposit right away on the one that she liked. And then a month later, we paid the balance. So she owned the apartment, and she could move in at any time. So it was exactly a month later, the day I paid the balance on her apartment, that Jim and I talked to each other, and he said, my flight to South Africa has been blocked. I can't fly to South Africa because of COVID. Like, oh, how are we going to have a wedding without a groom? Tricky. And the flights from America into South Africa had been stopped because of COVID, but the flights from South Africa to America, that was still okay. So I instantly booked a flight to America so that Jim and I could be together for the duration of COVID, thinking naively it would be a few months. And we had about a week. I booked my flight. We had about a week to move out of my mum's house. I was staying with her there. You'll never believe this, but, well, maybe you will, because you're a spiritual scientist, but when my mum paid the deposit down on this apartment, even though she wasn't going to be moving in till about July of 2020, according to our human plans, she started moving. She started sorting out cupboards. She started giving away things she didn't need anymore. And I would say to her, Mom, why are you stressing? Why are you huffing and puffing and panting, doing this really intensive moving job? We don't even have to do this until May, until after the wedding. What's the stress? What's the rush? She said, no, I just want to get on with it. I just want to get going. And thank God she did. Thank God divine intelligence was operating as my mum, and that she had already done about 3/4 of the moving work before we got this news that we would be leaving within a week. So on the day that I got my flight to America was the same day that my mum got the moving truck and moved into her assisted living apartment that she had paid the deposit on about a month earlier. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that an amazing story? Divine intelligence, like not pushing, but orchestrating all the pieces so that we could all have exactly what we wanted and be in the right place where we wanted to be. So to sum up, definitely summing up now, I think I've talked way too long. It's a minister's curse, we like to talk. So to sum up, I cannot figure it out, but Spirit can. Say it after me. I cannot figure it out, but Spirit can. Good. And we have ways. We have imagination, we have curiosity, we can ask questions, we can get still and listen, and guess what? We can change the world. Thank you so much. All right, so let's do a prayer. I'm just turning aside now from everything that's been happening during this service, everything that we've heard, everything that we've thought about, everything that's been triggered in our memories, in our imaginations, just turning aside from all of that. Moving our attention inwards now to Spirit, knowing that there is only one power, one presence, and it is divine, creative, love, intelligence. It knows what to do at every point within itself. And I am a point within that divine intelligence, and so too is every sacred soul in this service this morning and every sacred soul who is listening to the live stream. Each one of us here is a genius. Each one of us here is Einstein in our own unique and perfect and beautiful way. Each one of us here is a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant representation of the One. And I speak my word for this beloved community, declaring that what before seemed blocked or stuck is now loosed and dissolved. What before seemed restricted or in any way hindered is now freed up and liberated. Each one here is a magnificent example, a magnificent instrument of the Spirit, having within themselves all answers, all solutions, all knowledge. Everything is available, everything is possible. So where there seems to be any kind of deficit, I'm knowing that divine abundance is now flowing. Where there seems to be any kind of conflict or discord in relationships, I'm knowing that the intelligence within is bringing about its own particular harmony, is orchestrating harmony and love and forgiveness and compassion between all parties involved. And wherever there is any kind of physical issue or disease or health condition, I'm knowing that the spiritual wholeness, the divine intelligence within every single cell knows exactly how to heal, how to relieve and release the pain, knows exactly how to restore and revitalize. That divine intelligence is functioning now within every single cell of our beings, moving us forward on our journey of evolution, expanding us into reaches unknown before this particular time. We are all at the highest point of our evolution thus far, and we move forward in ever greater degrees and dimensions of expansion. How grateful I am for all of this. I give thanks for the words spoken, give thanks for this blessed and beloved community. I release it into law and let it be, and so it is. Amen.
We're going to do the next song during the offertory. So if you want to go ahead and we'll do the affirmation.
Okay. Thank you, Lauren, for helping me out here.
Of course.
Yeah. So it's time for our tithes and offerings. And we're deeply grateful to you for your continued financial support. So one thing that's special and different about today is that as of March the 15th, CSL Rogue Valley and Unity Medford became one being, one organization. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah. So the consequence of that is that Unity is now, the bank account is now closing. So I'm asking you to please write all your checks to CSL Rogue Valley. And if you make a mistake, that's okay, but it will be sent back. So CSL Rogue Valley, please, on all your checks. And I'm asking our ushers now to please come forward. And I invite you all to repeat our giving affirmation. So, are you ready? Do you want to put your offering on your heart? Mm-hmm. And if you don't have an offering, that's fine. I know a lot of you, it's particularly online, you like to donate via the website. So, graciously I give.
Graciously I give.
From a place of love.
From a place of love.
Knowing that as I give.
Knowing that as I give.
So do I richly receive.
So do I richly receive.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows, and what's on the other side? Rainbows are visions, but only illusions, and rainbows have nothing to hide. So we've been told, and some choose to believe it. I know they're wrong, wait and see. Yes, I have found it, the rainbow connection, the lover, the dreamer in me. Who said that every wish would be heard and answered when wished on the morning star? Somebody thought of that, and someone believed it. Look what it's done so far. What's so amazing that keeps us stargazing? And what do we think we might see? Yes, I have found it, the rainbow connection, the lover, the dreamer in me. All of us under its spell, we know that it's probably magic. Have you been half asleep, and have you heard voices? I've heard them calling my name. Is this the sweet sound that calls the young sailors? The voice might be one and the same. I've heard it too many times to ignore it. It's something that I'm supposed to be.
Thank you. So now I'm going to give the announcements. We've got a ton of them today. We're such a busy, creative, flourishing community. So the Playful Spirit Youth and Teen Programs information meeting is happening today at 12 o'clock here in the sanctuary with Tamara. Tomorrow, Monday, 11 o'clock, is the men's group. There's a unity prayer and reading group and Tai Chi at 10:30 and 11:30 respectively on Tuesday. Next Sunday, the 24th of March, we're having one of our favorite fundraisers. It's the 50-50 raffle. So bring your dollar bills or $5 bills. We'll purchase tickets before and after the service, and the drawing will be at 12 o'clock. So 50-50 means 50% goes to the winner and 50% goes to CSL Rogue Valley. So tickets are $2 each, or you can get 3 tickets for $5. And you must be present to win. That's deep. All right. I've got an announcement from Kathy about the multi-generational Easter egg hunt.
So the last Sunday of the month is going to be Easter this year, and we decided to have some fun. We're going to have an Easter egg hunt that includes everybody. And any donations that you bring, there's a box in there that says, "Everybody welcome." Don't bring your Easter eggs, the really Easter egg ones, until the day of the hunt. But you can bring treats anytime.
Like chocolate.
This is filled with jelly beans. Make sure what you do bring, if you bring trinkets, that you make it clear somehow that that is an Easter thing and not, we have a lot of trinkets in here, so we don't want people being confused on what they should take and what they shouldn't. The teens are going to hide them and during service, and then the kids are going to go the first ones in there for a little bit, and then everybody 80 and up is going to go in there, and then those between 20 and 80 get to go in, and the very last ones are going to be the teens because they hit everything and they can make sure that they clean it all up. So it'll be fun.
Okay, thanks, Kathy. That's great. Kathy is the most dynamic president of a board you could ever wish to have. Thank you, Kathy. So just a couple of extra announcements. We're going to start a monthly community visioning program. So it'll be once a month. I'll be giving more information about the date and the time. So if you want to vision for the growth and expansion of CSL Rogue Valley, you're welcome to join in. No experience required. Also next month, I'll be starting to teach The Journey of the Soul. It's a CSL accredited class. And if you're interested in that, please pay attention, and I'll announce the start date next week. Also, I've got my books out here for sale, and I'll sign them for you if you want to purchase a copy. You can sign up for our weekly e-newsletter here in Bosworth Hall on our website, or email us at cslroguevalley@gmail.com. You may submit any prayer requests in our prayer box at the back of the sanctuary, and the Unity prayer box is in Bosworth Hall, or on the website, cslroguevalley.org. We invite you to stay for coffee and soup in Bosworth Hall right after the service. And practitioners, would you please join me up here at the front for our closing song? And please know, practitioners are available for a 5-minute miracle. If there's anything that's bothering you, come and ask a practitioner to pray with you and experience the miracle of divine intelligence at work in your life. Okay, do you want to come up? Thank you. So, please repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is this thing called life.
It is this thing called life.
Life is in my mind.
Life is in my mind.
Life is in my body.
Life is in my body.
Life is in my affairs.
Life is in my affairs.
I accept it.
I accept it.
I bless it.
I bless it.
I claim it.
Claim it.
Just the way it appears.
Just the way it appears.
And just the way it appears not.
Just the way it appears not.
Thank you, life.
Thank you, life.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to teach you a new closing song. It's called Go in Beauty. Peace be with you till we meet in our hearts in the light. Here we go. Go in beauty, peace be with you till we meet
our hearts in the light.